Believe we are live, although I still have the spinny wheels of death not telling me whether I'm fully connected or not. But I want to welcome everybody to the design. We are live, although I still have the spinny. Oh, there we go. Wheels of death not. Got it connected and popped up on my other screen. Gotta love when your back end helper had to pull out last minute. But looks like we are good. So welcome to the Design Pattern Create Summit. This is the second day of live Q&As. We have some amazing speakers here all today that some of their videos went live, and one of their videos will be going live this Thursday, but she's joining us early, which I always love. So you can get your questions in early. I'm going to start off by having them each introduce themselves and tell everybody just a little bit about themselves and where they're from and all that fun stuff. So, Liz, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Liz. I'm based in Tasmania in Australia, and I've been making felt sewing patterns for kids over at Squiggler Makes. I started my business to make fun things for kids when my children were little. I've got two boys, and I couldn't really find many fun things for them to make, so to make for them. So I started creating my own, and now I sell them so that people can make their own fun things for their own kids. Mostly to do with dress ups and imaginary play. So I have like felt crowns and dress up tails and ears, that type of thing.
Awesome. Mia, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Mia Green from Dallas, Texas. I'm the owner of the Couture Beauty and Sewing Academy, and I specialize in teaching adults and children how to sew garments. That's what I do all day long. Also, transitioning to assist a non-local book shop to be their director of education and bringing community initiatives and sewing projects and things of that sort to the community. So I'm excited.
Awesome. And Sheridith.
I'm Sheridith Hardy, and I am currently in Washington in the United States. And I teach people how to use a projector for sewing and how that can speed up their process and use that for all their pattern needs and cutting and sewing, anywhere from home hobby sewists all the way to those who do it as a career, and although that, and everyone in between, to using a projector for sewing.
Yes, I love it. And I am Christina Hadley-Dyke. I teach people how to digitally pattern draft so that they can create their own amazing pieces of wearable art. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. We have some people on YouTube and some people on Facebook. Please ask any questions you have, whether the speakers are here or not, because the speakers will get the questions eventually and get those answered. And remember, if you are looking to work on that leaderboard, we've had some tech issues with the leaderboard and some tech issues in general with the community today. It was a software-wide bug, but they said they should have it fixed by right now, actually. Yeah, I think they said Central Time. So it should have been fixed an hour ago. So if you were having some issues today, I'm very sorry with getting into the group. Everything should be working much better now. And remember that if you want points for your questions, they do need to go in that group so that we can make sure those points get assigned to the right people. Awesome. I'll start off with the speakers. Do you guys have any questions or anything specific that you want to ask each other? No? That's all good. I got a few questions ready for before popping in. So yesterday we were actually talking a whole bunch about Inkscape, Sheridith, and I know you have a lot of knowledge on Inkscape. And one of the questions that I was not sure on, but I kind of stated, was how similar is it to Adobe Illustrator's key commands? Is it still pretty similar, kind of like Affinity Designer, or is it like night and day.
Yeah, the developers try to keep it pretty similar because there are people who transfer over from Adobe Illustrator. So you're going to find most of them are the same. And you can also always set up your own shortcuts in Inkscape. So if it's not something that you're used to, you can go and change it. But for the most part, the most common, everything is pretty similar. I there's a few like duplicate or something is slightly different in Affinity Designer and Inkscape. And if I hit the wrong one, then I just hit the other one. So there's a few that are just slightly different, but for the most part, they try to keep them the same.
Yeah, I know definitely when I'm moving back and forth between different programs, I sometimes hit the wrong button. I'm like, why aren't you doing what I want you to do? And you're like,
Yeah.
it's in the wrong
I'm like, oh,
program.
it's not Control D, it's Control J. You know, so it's just so,
Yeah.
but for the most part, they're pretty similar.
And do you mostly just work in Inkscape now, or do you still dabble in the other ones?
I mostly just use Inkscape and Affinity Designer. And since I've been doing a lot of course in Inkscape and I'm used to that right now, I don't like to keep constantly switching back and forth as much. I try to, stay at least for a little bit in one and then go to it. So I've been in Inkscape a lot, but I still go into Affinity Designer as well uh, in there. So switching back and forth gets confusing sometimes.
For sure, for sure. Hello, Stacy. She said hi on YouTube. Um, then Mia, what how do you help students like really identify their capsule wardrobe needs? I had somebody ask me that when I was telling them about you at my day job. Uh, and I would love to know a little bit more.
So, first thing that we got to do is kind of sit down and do a little brainstorm. It's a lot of fun. You kind of, well, I walk them through what is your style aesthetic, and most times people think like, I don't know. That's the first answer I get. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But then when you start to walk them through it, they're like, oh, I do. So, for example, I'll use me. So, what's Mia? What's your style aesthetic? I don't know. Well, let's go through a list of things. Do you like to wear leggings? Eh, I can. If I don't, it's not a big deal. Do you like to wear pants in general? Yeah, I do. What would be your go-to? The dress or a skirt? Dress. All right. Um, T-shirt, tank top, or sweatshirt? T-shirt. So kind of walking them through all these little things helps to solidify what type of garments they like to wear, what type of garments they feel the best in, what type of garments they feel they look the best in. And then we begin to take that really big, broad circle and bring it all the way in till we have this really small nucleus of this is what you like to wear. You like full maxi length dresses. You like t-shirts and jeans. You would prefer a sneaker over a sandal. You're not going to wear a stiletto ever in life. Um, you're going to wear your hair slicked back. You're going to wear minimal makeup. You're going, all of the things. You do not like the color red. You're never ever going to wear anything red. You like earth tones, or you like to be over the top. So you like big chunky jewelry, bright red lipsticks, big hair, stilettos, all the baubles and bangles on your arm, just helping them to narrow down what it is that they like to wear, helping them to see their style aesthetic. And once we know that, then we can start pinpointing how we're going to create our capsule wardrobe. What type of capsule are we making? Vacation capsule, fall capsule, seasonal, fall, winter, spring, summer, seasonal capsule, special events. Do you have your husband's Christmas gala every year? Do you have the gala? Your son's getting married, and you've got your dad's 60th gala all this year. Okay, so then we're going to do a holiday capsule. We're going to do a special events You follow me? So kind of helping them to narrow down the style aesthetic, and then we can start pinpointing what the capsule is going to be. And it is so much fun. It really is a lot of fun going through for yourself and even for me helping them, going through determining that style aesthetic and then picking out all the patterns and the physical patterns, indie or commercial patterns that you're going to sew, and then all the fabric patterns, prints, solids, texture, all the textiles that you're going to work with. It's like, oh, so much fun because you feel like you really should be on Project Runway. You've got this textile and you're laying it just juxtaposed to this textile. Oh, I don't like that satin. I'm going to use this charmeuse for the gala. It's just a lot of fun. It's fun.
Yeah. We actually had a couple of questions come in for you, Mia. And
Okay.
they're about your chalk. I wanted so hard to test it out, so I could have it like tested and before the summit, and that did not happen. But they're asking, does the chalk ever stain or is it hard to remove?
No, no. Now remember, I use Johnson's baby powder from the dollar store. It was Johnson's, okay? So let me be very specific about what I used. And I've been using it for, like I said, oh gosh, what did I tell you, Christine? I made that stuff in 2015 or something like that, and I'm
Something
still
like
using
that.
it because the whole bottle, it just goes so long. I've never had an issue. I have put it on wedding um formals, formal pieces that I've had to construct. That bright yellow one, I put it on formal pieces that I've had to construct. Denim, cotton, brocade, all the things, jacquard. And all I do is it comes right off. It literally comes right off like baby powder. So it was Johnson and Johnson's. Okay. I'm not sure about any other brand. I'm not sure about the dollar store brand. I'm not sure about any other brand, but Johnson and Johnson's baby powder mixed with that food coloring comes right off. Once it's dried, comes right off. That's the pro. The con is that it comes right off. So if you brush up against the fabric too hard in maneuvering it, you're going to lose that marking. Okay, so when you make it, you want to kind of be prepared to transfer whatever you need to transfer and get right to sewing. It is not something that you want to use to mark and then come back 3 days later. I homeschool, so I own a business. I'm super busy. When I need to mark and come back 3 days later, I'm going to use a friction pen or some type of heat erasable type of pen. I'm going to use Tailor Tacks, hand done Tailor Tacks. I normally do Tailor Tacks if I have no time. If I'm going to transfer these markings right now and I will not be back to this garment for 2 weeks, I'm going to do Tailor Tacks. Even a friction pen will work. But that chalk, it's immediate. You want to transfer and sew, okay? Because it's going to come right off.
Awesome. And we have one more question. Well, we had a
Okay.
second question about the chalk, but I think you kind of answered it in the same with the there's no special food coloring that you used, right? It was just the
Nope. Nope. I got that food coloring in. You know what I think it was? I think it might have been, is there a baking company that starts with a W? Wilson's or Willits or something? I think it was something with a W that I got
Wilton?
in the Wilton. Yes, whoever that was. Yes. Oh, Sheridan, was that you? My girl. Wilton. It was a Wilton food coloring that I got in the bakery section in maybe like Hobby Lobby or something like that, or Michael's. So it was a Wilton food. It was like a bakery food coloring. Yellow is what I use. You can use any color. But yeah, that's what it was.
awesome. And then we have Mary on YouTube also asking, do you offer a capsule wardrobe as a class or a personal consultant? She really enjoyed your interview today.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. Yes, I do. I do. There's a course that's coming up, and this course starts in June. If you've got the mini ebook, you'll see on the back that there's a coupon code for you to use, and it's pre-selected patterns that most of my newbies, my beginners, or my garment sewers were just a little bit like, I don't know if I want to try that by myself, want to do, and pieces that will be great for just a casual capsule for the fall. So you'll see they're pre-selected. But I do have students who say or have said, "Oh, yeah, I don't want to sew that. I want to do these, but I want you to walk with me." So yes, I do have some private capsule students that it's just me and them because they are making what they want to make. but they want me to walk them through it. And then I do also do consultations and helping students define their colors. Textiles that would go great with this pattern. I have a lot of students that'll say, this or this, this one or this one, or this one, or this one, and so kind of walking them through and helping them to become comfortable, choosing the pattern, understanding and realizing, I guess demystifying the intrigue of certain patterns and helping them to understand you can sew it. If you can sew a straight line, you can sew it. If you know the basics of garment construction, you can sew it. And then for my students who don't, I'm kind of holding their hand and walking them through. So yes, Mary, I do. You can email me at connect.cbsa, Couture Beauty Sewing Academy, connect.cbsa@gmail.com. And I'd love to get with you and help you put a capsule together or do a private course with you. It'll be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun. You'll be hooked. We'll be doing fall, winter, spring, summer, special occasions, all the things, because it's so much fun. So thanks for asking.
Awesome. And we did have Fran in our VIP section ask, since Johnson & Johnson has been defiled because of cancer, can we substitute cornstarch?
Oh, I see this message. Yeah, I didn't know that.
We have to test. Yeah,
I didn't know that, and that is a great question. And Fran, I tell you what I'm going to do. I will work on that between the next 48 hours. I will make a new batch. I will use cornstarch. I'll probably get it from like Kroger's somewhere, and not the dollar store, like grocery store, just regular cornstarch. I probably got cornstarch in my fridge, and I'll pull some cornstarch, and I'll make a new batch. And what I will do is either message Christina or Fran. If you want to email me direct, you can email me at that same email, connect.cbsa@gmail.com, so that I have your information, and I will let you know if it works. I will make a batch, test it out, and I will see how it works. I'll also give it to you, Christina, so that you can shoot it out to your viewers and let them know, hey, we tried something new, it worked or it didn't work. And if it doesn't work, I'll find another alternative, because I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing, Fran. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, I really wanted to try it beforehand, and I didn't realize Johnson & Johnson had not, or they're not
me
making it
neither.
anymore. So
Me neither.
it'll be a test out for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely test it for sure.
Awesome. We do have a Marie she's on YouTube that says, Liz, I'm excited for your crown pattern. Do you often have the kids help you make the crowns, or have it be an activity for all the kids? I'm assuming that's probably at like a birthday party.
Yeah, that's right. So you absolutely can use the template to make the felt crown. That's the tutorial that I've got, but you can use it as a paper or cardboard, or using that kind of foam, a sort of glitter foam that you can buy from the craft store, that's kind of a bit more robust than cardboard because it doesn't tear for kids. And I've actually got a blog post on the different ways you can use it to make things with for the kids. So that's one of them, like just using those, either the cardboard or the foam, and then you can have packs of stickers or something easy to decorate them, or if you use a cardboard one, crayons and pencils and things as well to color them in. I've also used them to cut them out from like a coloring page. If you use just a commercial coloring page, or buy one, or get a free printable one from the internet, and then just cut the shape out of a printable, and then it ends up being like a coloring in crown that they can color in as well. And you can trace if it's for a birthday party or something like that, and you want to personalize it for either the child, people that are coming, or the kid whose party it is. I've got the letters or the numbers in that template as well, so you could trace like the letter F, if their name starts with F, onto the front of the paper crown, and then they could color that in or decorate that as well, or cut some shapes out of paper, some stickers. So there's lots and lots of options. I've also had people use them for kind of nature craft as well. Like if you go out walking around, it's autumn here, so getting leaves and things to decorate them, and then sticking them onto the paper, and then cutting them out as a crown to make sort of a nature crown as well, as a really fun activity to do with the kids yeah, so there's heaps of options to do. And like I said, I've got a few of them over on a blog post on my website as well.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah. I'm so excited for your monster crown. I'm also hoping to make that so I can have a cute little monster crown
Yeah,
for
yeah, that's a totally
Thursday.
fun one too. Yeah, so many options.
But it's not
Yeah.
like this is the reason I had to do this is because my heater died and it can't be fixed. It's
Oh,
it's not
are
up to
you
standards. Heating system in for winter. But I know I've got an asthmatic daughter who can't cold air's a trigger.
I can't tell if she was asking a question. Lindy, were you asking a question? It didn't quite sound like it. But I did mute you. If you're asking a question, I can unmute you. Okay. I don't think she was asking a question. Then Sheridith, I also had a question that came up that somebody I recently was talking with. They recently bought the Ditto from Joann's. Do you have much experience with the Dittos, or do you have more with some of the other projectors?
Yeah, I've tested out the Ditto when it first came out, and I do have a YouTube video on my channel. If you do YouTube, and my channel is at Projector Sewing, and it just says an experienced projector sewist's opinion of the Ditto. And I talk about the pros and the cons that I see in the Ditto on there, and it really is a personal preference. And although I have the Ditto, I do not choose to use it. I use just a regular do-it-yourself setup, and I kind of go through that video of why I've chosen a do-it-yourself setup as opposed to the Ditto. But I know there are a lot of people that like the Ditto for various reasons. And if somebody likes their patterns, you can still use Ditto patterns on your own projector. If that is something that you're interested in, you don't have to have a Ditto projector unless you want their software that can move the individual pattern pieces on the page, which is kind of unique to the Ditto system, but it only works with the Ditto patterns that they have. So that wouldn't, being able to move the individual pattern pieces, you can't do that to other companies' patterns, if that makes sense, on the Ditto. So hopefully that kind of helps to answer the question, and they can go and check that video out, and it kind of goes a little bit more in depth of it.
Yeah. So, I don't know how to ask this question, I guess, fully, because I'm at, but it was like they're trying to because they are associated with Joann's, right?
Yeah, so it was a joint venture between Joann's and Singer. And I don't know, with the bankruptcy going on in the sale, I don't know what the future of that company is. I'm not involved in that at all. So that could be a concern of what the future is. They haven't publicly announced anything. And as of now, they just said they're going to continue. There's people still working on Ditto and the Ditto patterns. I don't know what the future is, and I'm not invested in that company in any way. So I can't really give you a final say of whether it's going to be going on or not. So
Yeah.
I have a question for Sheridith. I have a question for Sheridith. Sheridith, what is the benefit of using a projector to show the pattern over just I mean, I know the obvious benefits, but outside of that, what's the pro? I can't, I have a lot of friends that use Ditto and do projectors, and I just can't wrap myself around the need for it personally. And so tell me, what is so great about it? I found that the certain projectors you can only use certain patterns. Like Ditto has their patterns uploaded. I didn't like their patterns. What's the hype? I need to know what's the hype.
So that was one of my big concerns about the Ditto is I don't love the patterns that are available for the Ditto. And really, when you're using a projector for sewing, it's not a special projector that's made just for sewing. It's a projector that you can use for movies, you can use for art, you can use, it's a regular projector. It's just a second screen. So as somebody who used a lot of print at home PDF patterns, I am no longer having to print and tape those patterns or pay for a copy shop file to be printed off. And I can just, hey, I want to sew something today. Let me pull up that pattern on my computer, shine on my projector, and I'm cutting out fabric right away. So it saved me a whole day basically of printing off that pattern, of taping it together, and then I'm not paying for that ink. I'm not paying for the paper at all. So time and cost savings really in that for somebody who used a lot of PDF patterns. And you can try out a lot more patterns because you're not, if you want a pattern, you jump online, you buy it, and you're projecting it right away. I'm not afraid of switching between patterns, or I mash up different parts of patterns a lot more now just because it's so easy to do digitally. I can even plan out my fabric layout so I can say, you know, I only have 2 yards of fabric. Is it going to fit? And I could lay it out digitally in a program such as Inkscape. And I could say, look, my pattern's going to fit. I only need these 2 yards. It's going to be perfect. So that's another kind of advantage there is you can plan it out. I can do all my alterations digitally, and then I can save them. And then I don't have to start over from scratch when my body fluctuates or changes, because we know that happens sometimes. And I can just go back and say, okay, these were the changes I made, and maybe just make a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and it's all saved digitally. And I'm not taking up space in my sewing room either to store all of my paper patterns. It's all in a digital file. And so it's cleared up a lot of space that is now filled with fabric. So it's cleared up a lot of space of those paper patterns that I don't have. And it's nice to just have a digital portfolio of all my patterns, and I can go and I can look, click, project, and be cutting right away. So that's kind of a quick overview of it.
Oh, Sheridan, that was good. That made me a believer. I'm sitting here like, oh. I'm not a PDF girl. I hated PDFs because of that taping. But I've been doing quite a few past few months lately. And you explaining not have to, because I do copy shop. I cannot deal with the taping. I do copy shop. So saving the money on the copy shop and then the uploading alterations. Oh, I might have to step up my game. Thanks so much for sharing. That was good.
I'm glad you
The
asked.
other thing that I would like to add, yeah, I'd like to add to that is if you have a really crazy pattern on your fabric that you want very specific placements, you can actually pull it around and push it around much easier because you're not covering it with your paper pattern anymore. You can really quickly and easily see that. But to counter that, it's also very hard when you're trying to do a full pattern match, because then you don't have the paper pattern to draw a line on. You have to draw it on all your patterns, or you have to think about it in a little different way. But I also do the pattern matching and move it
Yeah, with the
around.
pattern matching though, if you use patternprojector.com, there is a line tool on there that you can draw on it. So that can help, you know, there are a few new markers, but yeah, it is great for cutting out panels, panel shirts, and just getting it centered just perfectly. It's really nice for that.
Once you get a projector, you look back, Mia. Or if I should say, if you get a projector.
I believe you. I'm like, man, I might have to reevaluate my sewing space, because you need a really big table, right? You need like a big table to. No.
No, it's nice to have a bigger space, but you only cut one pattern piece at a time. So think about that. You only need to cut out one pattern piece. So ideally, I tell people, get a size that you can cut out one pant of your size. For most people, that's like 40 inches. For 44, that's a high-waisted pant. And you could cut out most patterns in that space. So.
Okay, so here's the other issue. My sewing room has very high ceilings, and two skylights right over my sewing table today. And if I were to move it, it's sloped. So if I move the table, the ceiling is even higher. So where the table is the lowest part of the ceiling, which is very high. It has to hang right above, right? It has to hang from the ceiling, no?
That's another big thing is there's so many different varieties of projectors and setups that it works for you. You might like in what we call an ultra short throw that you can actually put like on a TV stand or sit right on your table, and you wouldn't have to worry about putting it up on the ceiling at all. But then there are other options. You can put it right above the table for that.
Something else. I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole. I can already see it now. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that. I thought it had
Yeah,
to be like, there's one that can go on the table.
so lots of people see the Ditto and they think that's the only option, and it's not. There are lots of projectors. You can either mount them to the ceiling, you can mount it to a wall, or you can, there's what we call ultra short throws, and they only need like a maximum of 2 feet to throw a huge image. And so they can be placed on a shelf right next to your table or on your table. So there's a variety of setups that can work for anyone's
Oh
sewing
my
room.
gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'll be up all night.
Well, go
Thanks
to
so much.
projectorsewing.com, get started page.
Projectorsewing.com. Projectorsewing.com. Thank you. I'm going to type that in the chat. Thank you.
But that's a lot that I get on, like, people just have misunderstandings of what projector sewing is. They'll see somebody set up and they're like, it has to be like that, and it's not going to work for me. And that's what I see so many times. They're like, well, my friend has this set up and that would not work in my sewing room. And I'm like, wait, there's options, you know, and that's what's great about a do-it-yourself projector sewing setup is because there are options. All of our sewing rooms are different. Some people have a dedicated sewing room, some people don't, and they need to be able to set it up and take it down. And it's possible to do with a sewing projector setup, a do-it-yourself sewing projector setup, because there are so many options to get it and to get it working just for you. So I haven't seen a situation where it doesn't work yet. They just have to find the right setup for them.
It's true. Like the first time I talked to you, I was always just like, I knew there was differences, but that one could actually sit on the table. That's what I need in my new sewing space. I'm in a little bit lower of a ceiling place here, and I'm like, I need a short throw so I don't have to be crawling on the ground anymore.
And I know Mia mentioned before, she has such high ceilings, and really high ceilings are good because you can get a really large image from a projector that's up really high. You're not limited by the distance, because more distance means you can get a bigger image from a ceiling mounted projector. So
I need to think about it then, think about actually doing it. I just thought, oh my God, my husband's going to look at me cross-eyed, climbing the ladder, trying to get up there to mount a projector.
yeah, and if you don't want to get on that ladder, you don't want to worry about it, you don't want to put it up, you can get one that sits on the table or on the stand. So
we had a few questions come in, or a few statements, I guess, come in on YouTube from Stacy that says, that's good to know about the Ditto. I have 2 projectors I use, but I have people ask about the Ditto all the time. And then when spring, I use both.
Oh no, I think we lost her. She's frozen for a second. Anybody have any questions that's here on the Zoom? Fran, Pam, Valerie? While we're waiting for Christina to come back.
Does the projector project accurate sizes? It would seem to me if you had it really high, you're going to get a bigger pattern on your table.
yeah, so when you are using a projector for sewing, we do what we call calibration. And that process makes sure that no matter where your projector is set up, that it's projecting accurately in the size and scale. So calibration is you're just going to adjust the image so that it is the right size. And there's a little bit of process of that. There are two main programs, and I have that free download that goes over the programs that will help you with the calibration. But basically that calibration is going to get it so it's accurate scale and size no matter where your projector is set up. So you're going to adjust that image so that it is flat and it's projecting in the right size.
Thank you.
That was a good question, Fran. That was a really good question.
Yeah. And Christina's back. Yay.
Was it just me that left?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it kept going. Cool. So we did get another one from, I'm gonna mispronounce your name, Charka. I've gone through 2 projector setups and have found a wall mount magic cute wall in my sewing room. I'll never go back to cutting and taping PDFs together again. All the projector love tonight.
Well, it really is. I feel like people start out so skeptical of using a projector for sewing, and then they actually try it and they're like, oh, well, this does work and it works great. And then you rarely hear people going back, especially with how easy it is now. I mean, with the programs now that make calibration and setting it up so easy and so quick, it's a no-brainer.
My internet is also a little cranky right now again. Is it really choppy for you guys?
I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. I make my own patterns. How difficult is it to make them digital for the projector to use? I also love to make my own patterns digitally, and I now prefer it because I can do copy paste. I can make 3 different renditions of the exact same shirt and sew them together in Clo 3D and see them in 3 different ways before I actually make a choice on which one I'm going to use or which one I want to go with. And it's not that I'm making 3 actual different paper patterns and mock-ups. It does all that digitally. So I absolutely love doing it digitally. Even in Illustrator or Affinity Designer, it's not nearly as fun because you don't have the 3D sew together. But it's still a really fun thing to do. What about you, Meredith? I know you alter your patterns mostly. Do you ever make
Yeah, I mostly alter. I dabble in designing my own. But there's a lot of pattern designer. It's a lot easier because now you're not having to print off your patterns. It basically just eliminates that step. So you design it all digitally. It's a different process than if you are designing it from paper that you'll have to get used to. I mean, that's a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to do pattern drafting digitally. But from there, like, you have your pattern and you can make quick, simple tweaks with it. You're not having to trace your paper pattern over and over your block. You can save your pattern block as like an asset in these programs and then just drag and drop it and you're starting right there. So it's a large time saver for pattern drafting in there. And then you can go right to making your fabric, your toile and trying it out. So it's a time saver over pattern drafting when you learn digital drafting, along with lots of all the other, software tools that Christina has talked about too.
Yeah.
Is that hard?
I have a sloper size for 0 to like 28, 20, 30. I don't know. I have a large variety. What did you ask, Nia?
Is it hard transitioning from flat pattern making manually into digital? Like
I mean,
learning illustrative, all the things, is that hard?
It can be. So it's hard because you're used to being able to pick up a ruler and pick up a pencil and draw a straight line. And every tool has a different way for you to draw that exact precise straight line that you want. So it's kind of one of those that it can be difficult, and you also have to think about it differently. Because like when you are wanting to do a perpendicular line, you would normally line up your ruler perpendicularly to that line and just draw a new line. In some programs, there's actually ways for you say, I want to go perpendicular from this line, but a lot of times they only have the north, south, east, west, and the 45-degree angles. You can't go perfectly perpendicular to that. So that's something you always have to kind of think about and consider. And you just kind of have to think about it in a different way. But once you start thinking about it in a different way, it can come pretty quickly.
And some aspects are easier because you're no longer having to take those measurements on your ruler and measure it out. You just type it into the computer and it adds the amount, or it will blend between those two sizes, or divides it for you. You just put divide, and it does all the math for you right in the program. So in some aspects, it's a lot easier. So, but it is a different way of thinking about drafting a little bit. Whereas you could pick up the paper and bring the dart closed, you have to do it differently when you're doing it digitally.
We did get another question on YouTube. If I don't want to pay for Illustrator, are there other good programs to use? Yes, Meredith, use Inkscape. We talked about that at the beginning. If you want to talk that again.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a big anti-subscription person. I really don't like paying for subscriptions unless I really, really have to. And there are alternatives that don't take subscriptions. First, Inkscape is a free open source software for graphic design, for vector designs. And that one is free. They operate by donations. So if you enjoy it, you donate money. Then Affinity Designer is another option, alternative to Adobe Illustrator, and it is a paid program, but it's a one-time fee, and then you've downloaded that program and you get that version and the small updates that go with it. And I think last time I checked, the desktop version of Affinity Designer was around like $70. So when you compare that to the Adobe Illustrator subscription, you're saving quite a bit over the year. So those are two of the main alternatives. So Affinity Designer and Inkscape. And I'll type that in there. I know Mia did. It's spelled a little bit different, so I'll type it in. Affinity. So Affinity Designer, yeah.
You can also wait for Affinity Designer to go on their sales.
Yeah,
and then you
they
can
usually
get
have
all
one
of
in
their...
May or Black Friday.
But they go on sales, I think 3 times a year, don't they? Or
it just depends.
Okay. Yeah, I found that they came on sale exactly at the time I was like, I should really buy that. And then it was just like Facebook was listening to me and showed me a sale. It was,
Yeah, just say it out loud and you'll get an ad. So
yeah. Awesome. We have a statement kind of on YouTube saying, from Stacy, the hardest part is measuring the curve in Illustrator. Yeah, the best way I still do is I cut my patterns apart. I don't know. What do you have because the dimension tool still doesn't do curves.
So in Affinity Designer, you can use the area measure tool. You have to break the lines of the curve. So you break the lines, and then you can use the area tool to highlight over that line, and it will tell you the measurement of the line. There are some extensions in Inkscape that can help you to measure the curve. It's hit or miss, kind of like how great it is. If you're projecting, you could just project it and measure it physically. That was one of my ways I liked to do it. Or in Affinity Designer, the other way that I would do it is you can upload an asset, a French curve. You can get a French curve and actually use that tool just like you would a physical one, and you can use that in the digital program. So those are a few ways.
Yeah, that's the one thing I absolutely love about Clo 3D. I can just click on the line and it tells me everything I need to know about it. It's like, oh, that's how long it is. I'm good. I need a 3/8 inch more inches. So we're just gonna add that in.
Yeah, and that's going to be the difference that you're getting with, software that's made for pattern drafting as opposed to just a vector graphics program. It's really not made for pattern drafters, but a lot of pattern drafters use them.
Yeah. Yup, we sure do. Liz, I know you make a lot of different, you were talking about materials before, and I was thinking I should ask this and I forgot. What's your favorite type of material to work with? Is it felt, or what's the favorite type?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I find felt's easy to use, and there's just so many options for making different things quite easily. So that tends to be what I base my patterns on and what I make for the use for the dress ups. I also, for the animal project that I do, sometimes we use the felt for fur or something to add a bit of texture and fun, or also love using embellishments as well. If you've got something simple like felt or like a fleece fabric, because that's also pretty easy to work with as a beginner. And then adding things like, trims or beading or some, detail, like cutting out felt shapes and just adding them on is easy ways to make something simple, look a bit more special as well. So yeah, it's mostly felt, and it comes in so many different colors too. So there's lots of options for that. So yeah, I do really like using felt.
And then I know felts also come in like different thicknesses sometimes. Because sometimes like I definitely have like accidentally bought like a pack of felt, and when I got it, it was all super, super thin. Which I don't think would be good for making crowns. Do you have like a way, like, do you have a tip on how you can make sure you don't buy the really thin felt?
Yeah, so I don't know what it is in inches because I'm in Australia. So we usually use the 2 mil or 3 mil, which I think is
Okay.
3 mils and 1/8 of an inch, I think. So you want at least that sort of thickness. And then it comes in like the really thick ones that are more sort of 5 mil, which is like 1/4 of an inch, which are more upholstery kind of fabric. So then it will be too thick. You don't want it too thick because then it won't bend, and it's nice and easy to use. So yeah, getting that in between thickness is one of the things to look for, because the thinner ones, obviously they're quite thin as well, so they're a bit harder to cut out. They're more flimsy to use. And the other thing to look for is what the felt is made of. So there's a few different types. The acrylic felt, which is sort of mostly made of like a plastic, and then the way to tell the difference is if you're in the shop and you can actually touch it, it's like to pick it up, it sort of feels a bit plasticky, and sort of when you pull it a little bit apart, it stretches, I suppose, and doesn't really hold its shape. Whereas the ones that are made with like a wool blend or a pure wool felt will hold their shape much more, so they won't change shape when you just like pull on it a little bit, or like across, you've got a little square and you pull it across the grain, it'll sort of stay if it's a square, it'll stay in the square shape, whereas the poorer quality or ones that are made with more of acrylic-y fabrics will stretch a lot more. So I prefer to use the wool. They are more expensive, but depends what you're making. For kids craft and stuff, the acrylic ones and things are fine. But if it's something you want to keep a bit more, and have as a special sort of thing, or durable for if you're going to have it for a dress up or something that kids will play with, then yeah, I definitely recommend. You're going to go to all that effort to make something, then you want to make sure it lasts more than a couple of days or things, because kids are pretty rough with things.
I'm gonna have to like think, because I'm pretty sure I've only really ever seen the acrylic plasticky stuff in all the craft stores around here. I might have to dig in and see if I can find the
the sort of craft, more bigger box kind of craft stores mostly sell the acrylic ones in the felt sort of sheets, but more in a fabric store you get more of the higher quality ones, and they still come in you can buy them in the sort of the smaller sheets or the rolls of fabric. It is more expensive, and there's lots of places online that sell have a lot of choices for felt. And the other good thing is, if you know what it is, then it's easy to buy online, because it comes in just a square, so you know how much you're getting and how thick it is and what the color is.
And now I know how thick I need to buy because I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
bought the felt online
The
before. I'm
thin
like,
ones. Yeah.
this was not it. So I also I sometimes like to make little light up earrings out of felt.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
was just like, she would have these answers. It was a little selfish as well because I also was like, oh, I want to make your little monster hat. Maybe I'll have time to make it before Thursday.
Maybe. Yeah, that would
We'll
be
have
fun.
to
How would you
see.
make the light up earrings? Would you add some like with the little LED lights?
Yeah, so they actually have sewable LEDs
Right,
that you
I
can
didn't know that.
use for little tiny projects like that. That are it's really cool. All
So you
my
can just stick
electronics are
them
across the
on or
room.
you glue them on?
I sew them on with
Oh, right.
conductive thread.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah, conductive thread and button batteries is what I use a lot. And they just have a tiny little light. I have a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer earrings that the nose lights up, and
Oh,
then I have
cool. That would be so
Santa
fun.
Claus that has his
Yeah.
cherry cheeks, and I have a
Yeah.
holly. They're almost all holiday. I have a
Right.
skulls with
Oh,
red
right.
eyes.
Oh, that'd be cool. That sounds great. And it doesn't
But
get hot. The hot lights don't get hot, then they.
it's a button battery, and they're
Yeah.
LED, so they're pretty low voltage and
Yeah.
everything.
All right.
Um,
Oh,
but
cool.
yeah,
I'll have
we
to see if
actually
I
do
can
have
find some.
a.
That sounds so fun. You could make a
Oh
flashing
yeah,
crown too with lights on it. That would be fun too.
you totally could. You
You
should. So
just opened
we
my
have
mind
a.
to a whole heap of ideas.
Yeah, we have a wearable tech girl who her video is coming out tomorrow. So she's done a lot of light up clothing, lot of light up costumes for theater, and she's teaching how other people can start doing it as well. So I had a lot of fun connecting with her and
Yeah, I'll
talking
definitely
about
have to
some
check that one out.
crazy stories. But yeah, if you check out also adafruit.com. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's .com. But Adafruit has an entire sewable section of light up LEDs and everything that you can
Oh, great.
do a lot of stuff with. And it's real easy, real simple, really great for kids and everything. So
Yeah, yeah, it sounds really fun.
yeah, and the other big brand here in the States is Spark Fun. They also have a lot of stuff like that too. So
Cool. I'll have to have a look and see if it's a lot of them don't ship to Australia. That's the other thing because there's so many other choices over there, and we've got all the shopping is like $50 to ship a $2 item or something. So you have to kind of fuss around trying to go down the rabbit hole of who ships where. I'll have to see what I can find. That sounds great.
That's one of those things with this worldwide. I love that we're so interconnected, and you can be in Australia and we're talking, and then it's just, because it's already the 7th there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been it's
I'm in
so
the
great.
future.
I love how international everything is. Um, Awesome. Did any other questions come in I realized I didn't have the Zoom meeting chat up. Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions for each other or anything? Well, we do still have about 5 more minutes without going overtime. I'm not opposed to going overtime, but I also want to respect your guys' time. And I do want to reiterate, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have questions from for any of our speakers, make sure you post in the community so that we can get those those questions answered in the community, and we can always keep going. We did have one. Can you give us the URL for Adafruit and Spark Fun? Yes, I can grab those really fast.
Oh, yeah, great. I was going to ask that too. So that's
I
fabulous.
put those in there. Those are the ones I found, Christina. Maybe you can check if
Yeah,
those were the right
Adafruit.
ones.
That one looks, yep, Adafruit and Spark Fun. Yep. And it's I think it's underneath their wearables section. And if you're wanting to, because I mean, then with the Adafruit and the Spark Fun as well, you can actually learn how to code the lights so that they can do whatever you want them to do. So it's also a really great thing to do with kids and people who are learning. I definitely did a whole bunch of kids projects when I was learning how to do this because I was like, I don't know how to code. But yeah, it is Adafruit.
That's another rabbit hole to get down.
Oh,
I know I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, this holiday for my kids' classes, we're making light up Rudolph earrings. We're
yes,
doing it.
yes. I 10 out of 10 would recommend. I love doing it, and I always get so many compliments on the earrings when I wear them. So I definitely recommend checking it out because it's a fun project. It's a small thing, and yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that is a wrap for this live Q&A. Remember, if you guys do have questions, definitely post them in our community and make sure that you are saying hello in the community and clicking those links so that you can get onto that leaderboard. And if you asked any questions on YouTube, you will have to go and just repost the question in the community so that we can make sure that you actually get the points for that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I had so much fun talking with you guys, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the group and throughout this week. Awesome. Take care.
Thank you.